Hello everyone, this is Fantasy-esque and welcome back to the Vampire Amazon Challenge in The Sims 4. We are following the reign of Queen Darling Cloudy Snarl, who has recently heard murmurings of a new power manifesting in one of her ladies. But as the court prepares for the birth of her fourth child, there's been a disturbance in the royal kitchens. A fire has sparked, killing an acolyte and ravaging through a small portion of the castle. As the sun comes up, the vampires find themselves stranded outside to get away from the flames. The ladies of the court didn't stand a chance. One by one, as the fire raged inside, they began burning in the sun. Lady Lily fell first, screaming in pain at the unfairness of life. She was so close to becoming important, and now she'd be reduced to ash. But the children and the court turned away from her demise because something more tragic was taking place. Lady Miko succumbed to the flames, unable to fight the weakness of being thin-skinned. A question simmered in everyone's mind. Who would die next? Lady Billy fell next, murmuring her love to the Queen and her most cherished friend, Akira. She was so distraught that it would all end like this, that the work she had done would slip away in a single moment. She wondered if anyone would survive the unfortunate incident, or if the court as they knew it was over. Protected by the seed of life within her, Queen Darling survived, and so did Lady Akira. They were able to drag themselves inside, thirsty and exhausted, just as the fire within extinguished itself. They spent the next few hours desperately feeding and recovering their energy, all the while looking at the ashes still outside they had to collect. They sent the acolytes to retrieve the remains, and before they could come to terms with their grief, it was time for the Queen to give birth. And for the first time, she didn't have either of her counselors at her side. Okay, the Queen is getting ready to have her baby at 2 p.m. on Thursday, so we are a long way from 11 a.m. But so much happened that I obviously was not anticipating. I was just gonna take my vampires for a quick drink. We were gonna go hunting before the Queen was ready to obviously have her child. And I decided that around 9 a.m. I was gonna try and get everyone up here. We would be comfortable, we'd be seated. And then while they were hunting, one of the acolytes was cooking in the kitchen, as we normally see them do, and someone set the stove on fire, and then the fire started raging. 2 of the acolytes actually died, and then everyone ran outside. It just happened to be around daylight, or it was kind of like 4 a.m. But this fire raged for so long that the sun came up, and then my vampires started dying one by one, and then I was struggling to get them back inside because the fire was still raging and they didn't want to go back inside. And by the time the fires died down and I was able to rescue them, only Akira and the Queen made it, guys. At one point I thought I was gonna lose Akira too, but I cannot believe we lost some of our most important characters. Literally the characters that were creating all the spice in the story, we just lost. We lost Billy, we lost Miko, we lost Lily. And I feel like so many things happened in the last episode that was promising us like more of the twists and turns that they were bringing. And then suddenly it's kind of like snap short out of nowhere. So I have a lot to do. I am very overwhelmed right now. Not only is the Queen gonna be having her baby, obviously I need 2 more acolytes to fill the numbers that have died down. I need to get all of the urns moved down to the crypts for the ladies that have passed on. I need to fill the court again with new ladies. I need to introduce new ladies in for the courts. It's a mess, guys. I was not expecting this. It's such a mess. And for a second I was wondering if the Queen was going to die, but she lucked out because she was pregnant with this baby. So this baby kind of saved her. But also, it might be interesting that Akira has now survived this great tragedy, and we already know that she's in a better place with the queen relationship wise. They have managed to establish like a really solid friendship by this point. And now kind of might be the time for the Akira to start kind of stepping up, and in a way maybe taking the position that Billy had. I don't know. There's a lot. The queen also, like, if you look at where we are, like, in the season, we still have a week and a half of spring left, so the queen needs to appoint like new counselors for the remainder of her spring season. It's such a mess, guys. There's like so much going on right now. There's like so much going on, but let's see what she has. Let's see what she has. Is it going to be the princess everyone wanted and was happy for, or is it going to be a baby boy? I don't know, Queenie. She hasn't failed thus far. Let's see how lucky this child truly is. And it's a girl. Okay, so we have Princess, let's see, Nimue. This is going to be Princess Nimue Cloudy Snarl. This baby's birth, I feel like, is going to be such a contentious thing going forward. I could totally see a lot of the vampires maybe thinking that this baby was born to do great things, or this baby has kind of a grand destiny or a grand fate, because not only was there kind of massive destruction when she was born, so many people died, like 2 acolytes and 3 of the vampires, the ladies died, but the baby managed to save the queen and kind of Akira, symbolically. I think people would see that. So I don't know whether they think it's a curse or a blessing. A lot of vampires would be unsure and maybe kind of use the different superstitions according to their personalities. But definitely, I feel like a lot of people would think this baby was born with a grand destiny. And just the one baby. Okay, the queen has had her 3rd princess, guys. Princess Nimue Cloudy Snarl. Ay. Guys, there's so much I have to do. There's so much. I'm not ready to do all of that. I was just jumping in for an easy gameplay. I literally thought I was gonna come in, the queen was gonna have her baby, we were gonna have like our breeding, and that's all the episode was gonna be. Just a baby born and a breeding done. But no, that's not what happened, obviously. Well, guys, let me start making the changes I need to make and start going through all the things that need to be done, and then we'll continue the story. By the way, I forgot to mention this as usual, but the queen had a 3% chance of dying from childbirth, and she rolled a 47, so she is safe. After the birth of Princess Nimue, the remaining ladies gathered in the noble crypt to say their goodbyes to the fallen vampires. It was heartbreaking and difficult for many of them, especially in light of the relationships and romances that had just begun to bloom. But the court had to collect itself quickly. There was much work to be done. Immediately, the queen began scouring the queendom for potential ladies to be brought into the castle. Lady Shannon was the first to be promoted, moving into the main court. 3 other vampires were identified by the monarch from the peasant population and elevated to nobility. Let's take a look at the queen's choices in Cass. Lady Lilith Tempest is our 7th noble lady. She wants to exist within a noble vampire family and has a welcoming personality. Her traits are outgoing, creative, and athletic. Lady Lilith is from a family of gamblers who've had plenty of luck in gambling dens across the queendom. But when she heard of the fires at the castle, she decided she wanted something more stable for herself. Guided by her bloodline deity Tempest, she presented the queen with a crystal ball she won in her last game and was recruited into the vampire inner court. In terms of genetics, she has black hair and dark blue eyes. Lady Caleb Midnight Spot is our 8th noble lady. She wants to be the model of a good vampire and has a hedonistic personality. Her traits are foodie, ambitious, and materialistic. Lady Caleb is from a family of seamsters who've been creating the wonderful dresses worn by the court ladies. After making various deliveries over the years, she finally found her chance to experience life in the court itself. Guided by her bloodline deity, Midnight Spot, she presented the queen with curtains for her bedchamber and was recruited into the Vampyre inner court. In terms of genetics, she has brown hair and bright blue eyes. Lady Vladislaw Ratva is our 9th noble lady. She wants to become a wise and powerful vampire and has a dark personality. Her traits are evil, music lover, and loner. Lady Vladislaw is from a family of bakers who've been supplying bread to the castle's children and acolytes. But she always felt that it wasn't her calling, and when news came of a vacancy at the female faculty, she didn't hesitate. Guided by her bloodline deity, Ratva, she presented the queen with the family's best cake and was recruited into the Vampyre inner court. In terms of genetics, she has brown hair and turquoise eyes. The queen's first order of business with her newly assembled court was to appoint her new counselors. She chose from among them Lady Akira Darkpounce and Lady Lilith Tempest to serve out the rest of the spring term. It was her hope that slowly they'd be able to rebuild the unity the vampires had before the tragic incident which led to the deaths of half the court. Then Lady Shannon was called for her breeding, and a peasant male was chosen for her from the population. It was a great honor to receive such an opportunity after being prevented from any political growth in the female faculty. The queen had made it clear that the end of the breeding season was near. The coven had 4 baby girls and were waiting for their 5th one. Then the focus would be on raising them to immortality and crowning the next monarch. Now let's take a look at her chosen male in Cass. Evie Bell is of peasant lineage and our 6th breeder. He wants to get rich as a successful breeding male and has a closed-off personality. His traits are gloomy, ambitious, and unflirty. Evie was a blacksmith who was very good at what he did, but couldn't make the kind of wealth he wanted. He heard about the males living in Darling Castle and figured their lives were much better than his. Guided by his bloodline deity, Belle, he gifted the queen a shield and swords to put above her mantle and won her favor. In terms of genetics, he has brown hair and green eyes. It is 3:30 a.m. on Friday. We are picking up with Lady Shannon and the male chosen for her, Evie, to breed with. Thankfully, things have been smooth sailing so far, so she is going to straight away have her first kiss with him, and we'll see how this goes. I'm happy for Lady Shannon. I mean, her fate has completely changed from the situation she was in before. Granted, unlike Lily, she wasn't, desperate to get out of the female faculty. I think she was quite fulfilled in the job that she was doing as a lady who was looking after the youngsters, the little girls that are growing up in the coven, including the crown princess. But after the deaths that happened, suddenly she was called into the main court. Not only that, she was given a chance to breed by the queen. Like, everything's been happening so fast from her. Suddenly, from having a political career that is completely stagnated, but now she has the chance to gain influence if she has a baby girl. So we'll keep these guys going just a little bit. Let's see. Let's go ahead, get them to hold hands. While they're talking really quickly, I am going to scoot over to the queen's chamber because our blacksmith, Evie, did give the queen a gift. So this is what was given to the queen. So we had a shield with 2 swords. It's above the mantle. Some of the ladies we also saw gave gifts to the queen. One of those gifts is this curtain that was given by Oh geez, was it Lady Caleb, I think, who is from a seamster background? And then we have this cake, which was presented by Lady Vladislaw, who is currently in the female faculty. And to be honest, out of all the new ladies we have, I think Vladislaw is my favorite, guys. She looks like a Disney villain. Like, am I the only one? She looks like a Disney villain. And then we had this orb that was brought in by our Lady Lilith, who's from a gambling background. So that was the last thing she won from a game that she played. And was that all? I think those were all the things. Yeah, we had 3 new ladies, so we had 3 kind of gifts brought in, plus the shield and swords from the breeding male. So, you know, in case I forgot, I just had to cover that really quickly. Okay, and how are these 2 going? Well, they still need to work up their romance just a little bit more. Wait, oh, sorry, no. Where'd the romance go? Where'd the romance go? Hold on a second. Let's go and embrace him. He is unflirty, but so far things have been okay. Like, he hasn't rejected any of her advances. So I think he's quite taken up by her, which is kind of nice to see. Okay, we still need a little bit more. A little bit more juice. Maybe attempt a mistletoe kiss, even though they, you know, had one not too long ago. Come on, Shannon. This is a very, very kind of special chance that you've gotten. Plus, at this point, like from now on, there's no guarantee that we're gonna have more and more breedings. If Shannon has a baby girl, that is it. Our breeding season is done. And then the queen has such a good track record of having princesses. Even if Shannon has a boy and the queen is the next one to get pregnant, like, you know, over the next like 1 or 2 pregnancies, I personally feel like the breeding season is going to be over. So Shannon has started to feel romantic, which is great. That might be a good balance to Evie. That might be a good balance, actually. Evie's taking a little bit of work, I'm not gonna lie. He's taking, let's kiss his hands. Even though it should be the other way around, but that's okay. You can, you know, really get him hooked. You can get him hooked. Oh, there we go. Now we have the option. So they are going to try for a baby straight away. Not gonna waste any time. But I'm excited for Shannon and what she'll be able to do. I feel like Shannon is kind of proof that sometimes you don't have to compete with others. You kind of just stay in your lane, and the universe at large has a plan for you. And in Shannon's case, even though she's never really, I think, plotted the way Lily had to get out of the female faculty, she was kind of rewarded in a way for her good work. But that aside, guys, it has been actually quite exhausting to put this episode together, even though it's not a very long episode. It has taken me, I think, 3 days at this point to record all the parts. Like, from the beginning of this episode, it has been 3 days for me to get to this point in real life because so many things have been happening and there's so much work that I had to do off camera, you know, behind the scenes. It would be nice to finally get it out. Every day I think to myself, today I'll get it out. And then it doesn't happen. And then I think to myself, today I'll get it out. No, days have gone by at this point. I'm determined that it will come out today, like tonight. But, you know, who knows when that will be for you guys. Okay, well, Shannon is going to rest up a little bit, and then she's going to give the rest of the court some good news. After some meditation, Lady Shannon became innately aware of her pregnancy and announced the good news to her coven. It was an exciting time for the new members who had just arrived to finally see the inner workings of the royal court and how things occurred under Queen Darling. And everyone was excited for the part they would play in the future to come. And with that said and done, I'll leave off here. I know it was a wild ride with a ton of unexpected things, but fingers crossed we are now back on track. Let me know if you have a favorite character from the new ladies introduced, but that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching, I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.